Welcome to this week's blog. Well, it's that time of year again. It's Halloween, which means Christians are asking the question, what do we do with this? You know, some Christians will take a far right view saying we should have nothing to do with this. It's an evil holiday, it's a pagan holiday. And other Christians will go on the other side and say it's just harmless, it's child's play, it's good for the kids. Is one side better than the other? You know, let's kind of talk about the origins of Halloween first of all. Where do things come from? It's European. And festivals and celebrations were very entrenched in the European culture, which meant when people became believers over there, they had a hard time separating themselves from the culture. In fact, these festivals became somewhat of a stumbling blocks for new believers. So the church came in and took on some of these pagan holidays, because those who look at Halloween will say, if we're not going to celebrate Halloween, should we celebrate Christmas? Isn't Christmas a pagan holiday? How about Easter? Doesn't even Easter have pagan roots? And the answer is yes, because the church moved on all those accounts. For example, November 1st is known as the Celtic New Year. It's also known as the Day of the Dead. It would be a day when people would dress up, and it was a day that evil spirits, or spirits that could not find a home, they were still earthbound and they roamed the earth. So people would put costumes on, and they would put lights on their porch. They started out as lanterns, then they became turnips. You would carve a turnip out, and the turnip gave way to a pumpkin. That's why we have pumpkins today. And the thought and the thinking behind this was that they would put a light in the pumpkin, and as these spirits that could not go to heaven or had no place to go, they would find a light, and they would go inside the pumpkin. You know, so in order to have evil spirits not come around you, you would get dressed up, and these spirits looking for a home would have a gruesome type of appearance. So your costume would also be gruesome looking. The more gruesome looking, the safer you would be. Then in the morning, the spirit would still be stuck in the turnip with a pumpkin, and you would come out and take the pumpkin and dispose of it, and thus disposing of the spirit. Well, as a pastor, as a believer, you know, our job is to help win souls, not dispose of souls. But that was the thinking. So the church countered that. And November 1st became what was known as All Saints' Day. This was a day that the church would honor those who died the previous year as martyrs, those who died for their Christian beliefs and Christian faith. And they celebrate the November 1st, they celebrate the night before, which would have been All Hallows Eve. Hallow meaning holy. So that celebration began the night before, and All Hallows Eve, over a course of time, became more secular than it did religious, and All Hallows Eve became Halloween. That's where we get the term from. So as far as pumpkin and as far as dressing up in costumes, and those spirits, if they were going to be welcomed and given a place to live, basically, while they were earthbound, you would have a celebration, and they would be treated with food and drinks and so on and so forth. And those who were neglected, they would turn around and trick. They would bring tricks against people who neglected them. Thus we get the modern day version of trick-or-treating. So when it comes down to it, the real question isn't, I don't think, is it evil and pagan, or is it innocent and harmless? I think the real question is, does it honor God? As we celebrate this holiday or do not celebrate this holiday, whatever we do, does it honor God? And I think of Joshua, when Joshua says that, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Are we serving the Lord? What are we telling our kids and our family as we take on this holiday of Halloween? I think it's very confusing to the kids. Even though they may not dress up as vampires or werewolves or demons or anything else, people around them will be. So why is that behavior good for just this one day? And what about horror movies and video games and things like that? You know, why are they accepted now but not other days of the year? And for our little girls, seeing some of the costumes they sell to teenage girls and little girls, I mean, they're very provocative. The little girls, they have different witches, you know. I've seen 3 or 4 different witches for little girls, 6, 7, 8-year-old girls. Do we want our kids thinking that they're going to be dressing up as witches? Do we want our kids being dressed up, our teenage girls, in provocative outfits? What message are we sending to our kids? Are we honoring the Lord? So as a Christian, as we face this week of Halloween, the question is, do what you can do to honor the Lord. Make sure whatever you do, you're honoring God. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. God bless you.